Blizzard imbues Dragonflight with a pervasive, subtle mystery as they construct their next World of Warcraft arc, patch and expansion. With countless threads to follow, understanding everything can prove challenging, so we've constructed the ultimate Dragonflight theory iceberg, explaining the simpler theories and revealing the staggering complexity that lies beneath. Questions like, are the ethereals tracking us? Who birthed Galakrond? What's this 6th Dragonflight rumor all about? Today, we have the video that takes it all and puts it into one place. So let's dive into the depths of the Dragonflight lore iceberg with some help from our sponsor. Would you like to save money, access more content, and be more secure? Well, today's sponsor, nordvpn.com/BellularGaming does just that, where every 2-year plan gets a bonus month on top, backed by a 30-day money-back guarantee. Nord, of course, lets you browse the web from anywhere, and that lets you do a lot. This time, I'm focusing on traveling because ticket prices for things like cars and flights are optimized based on regional demand, and a bunch of other stuff like airline, home country, national wealth. So if you clear your cookies and use NordVPN, you can actually benefit from those regional pricing differences. Right now, I'm organizing our trip to Gamescom, and I absolutely would not do that without using Nord to ensure that I am getting the best deal for my business. And with that, Nord easily makes back its own cost. They do, of course, keep you private, stop your ISP from snooping, their fantastic threat protection services, and new features like MeshNet on the app and browser extension that are super easy to use, and you can get a bonus month with a 2-year plan at nordvpn.com/BellularGaming. So, a big thank you to them, and with that said, let's go. Diving straight in, sunken treasures surfaced off the Forbidden Reach, adorned with old god tentacles and eyes. However, this ominous decor was soon supplanted by Easter eggs. The initial subtlety of the Void lore suggests that these details were likely a fun Easter egg hinting at incoming darkness, akin to Aberrus, or maybe hinting at something a little bit further afield. And this can link to our next enigma, the legend of Night Squall, a renowned night elf pirate returned from the Western Seas seeking to unite all pirates. His mission? To retrieve his ultimate prize, whatever he discovered from his former haunts at the other end of the world. We'll unravel the nature of this further down the iceberg. Next, Raszageth. Why was she not in the Vault of the Incarnates along with the rest of her family? Well, that's because during the Scaleborn War, the rebellion against the Aspects, Raszageth actually tried to solo Neltharion on the Forbidden Reach. She nearly succeeded, but Neltharion finally accepted the power of the Void and imprisoned her on the Reach. 20,000 years later, Kurog Grimtotem came to the Isles and freed her, kicking this entire expansion into motion. Before we dive deeper, let's address a few overlooked details around the Isle. A dive board resides at the northern tip of the Wakening Shore. Leap off and swim down to discover a hidden Tortolan nightclub, the Bubble Bath. An even more secretive location, Crab Island, lies south of Azure Span, beyond the fatigue line and the edge of the map. With dragons slaying crabs and fallen Alliance and Horde soldiers, it raises some intriguing questions. As a fun exploration bonus, the new stop clicking lines evoke some nostalgia for Warcraft 2 and 3. When players clicked on a unit excessively, it would retort some humorous line, like this one from Khadgar.
Knowledge is powder. Wait, that's not right. Knowledge is chowder? Flounder. Oh, for goodness sake. Line.
Alright, that's obvious stuff. Now, let's go a bit deeper. Here, our deeper mysteries emerge. First, the Black Locus, a device engineered by Neltharion to control Drakthir minds. It ended up in the Onaran Plains, where it whispered to the Drakthir to seek someone beneath. But who? Neltharion? Well, the truth went deeper. But before that, let's address Aberrus. In secret, Neltharion created the Drakthir, but his corruption extended even deeper, to the Void itself. To harness its power, he established a secret lab beneath the Isles, perfecting Shadowflame, a blend of elemental fire and void. It was here that Neltharion essentially morphed into Deathwing, presumably calling out to the Drakthir. As we approached the end of Aberys, we battled an echo of Neltharion, which was actually a faceless one posing as the Earth Warder. Neltharion's legacy was not down there after all, but it does intertwine with a lot of the Iceberg's deepest mysteries. However, some Black Dragons opposed Deathwing's escalating corruption. Adamanthea, who championed free will, cultural expression, and emotion for the Drakthir, is one of them. She understood their inherent autonomy because of the Black Dragon essences within them. Neltharion, viewing them merely as tools though, instead incapacitated Adamanthea as punishment and extracted the Black Dragon essence from the Drakthir. Deprived of this fundamental part of their being, they lost their augmentation abilities and much of their own free will. Neltharion, though, wasn't the only one harboring secrets. Galakron's transformation is a central mystery to Dragonflight and something that we've long asked of the lore. Why his grotesque mutation? Why the loss of control? Was it a random fluke of nature? Given that Galakron predated the aspects becoming dragons, could Tyr have been involved? Well, turns out it was not mere chance. Reach Renown 24 with the Dragonscale expedition to unlock Tyr's secret labs. Within the halls are samples. You'll find ample evidence there suggesting Tyr, in fact, experimented on dragons before the aspects were uplifted. He had a special interest. And seemingly, in a botched attempt to infuse the essences of elemental decay into a proto-drake, he unintentionally created Galakron. So it very much seems that, like Gahun, Galakron was somewhat of a Titan mistake. And with that settled, let's get into some theory crafting. The next level of our Iceberg introduces massive enigmas, starting with the Jarradine. Their elders were either imprisoned by Neltharion and used as power sources for Aberys, or they lay dormant in Zarlek Cavern. However, the truly mind-bending theory suggests the Jarradine as humanity's origin point in Azeroth. They have these wall paintings depicting their war against the dragons, of course reminding us of ancient cave art, but we kind of suspect that Blizzard are hinting at the Jarradine being early human precursors. And it's their tales that hold crucial insights. In one, the tale of the outsider, a Vrykul is referred to as a half-giant, much like the Jarradine themselves, and ultimately is actually accepted as a Jarradine. We also, of course, find a Vrykul vessel on the Awakening Shore. And this kind of implies that there's a bit of a cultural similarity between them. Some would even say this suggests that the Titans may have morphed the Jarradine themselves into Vrykul, who then were later transformed into humans, of course because of the impacts of the Curse of Flesh. Sounds kind of straightforward. We certainly would need more proof, but it's one of the mysteries floating around there that speaks to the fundamental nature of the beings that exist on the planet. And for another similar mystery, we have the Onaran Centaur. There's even fewer clues with them. The Centaur here are in fact a different race from those found in the Barrens and Desolace. Classic Centaur emerged long after the War of the Ancients, but these Centaur battled the Legion back then, migrating to the Isles afterwards. So, why the separate origin? We're not exactly sure, but I propose that the Centaur may perhaps be one of the primal races, like the Trolls, Tauren, or perhaps even the Jarradine. Or even, say, the Proto-Drakes. These very first fleshy races that somehow managed to evolve from Azeroth's more natural elements, as we see with the new canon regarding dragons actually having an elemental descent. This subtle theme, then, of life's origin is something that develops on the Isles, revealing its deepest secrets by the end of today's Iceberg. Next, the Void's resurgence. Not all gods, but their superior forces, as Aberys ominously hinted at what you could see as their impending arrival. Sarkarath, of course, heard the apparent whispers of Neltharion and followed who he believed to be his father underground. What did he find there? Was it Neltharion's legacy? No, it was in fact the edge of the Void. As he died and stared into the Void, he realized that his creator's legacy was totally hollow. There was only emptiness down there. So this is the theory. Blizzard is telegraphing WoW's next arc, True Void, so specifically not the fleshy tentacle monsters that we're a bit more familiar with. This is how it fits together. In BFA, we went back to the Emerald Dream. It was being attacked by Void. Not Nightmare, Void, right? It was purple, not red. Then, when N'Zoth went down, Ilaria said that actually, the whispers in her head, the Void whispers, hadn't gone away. They merely changed. New ones had joined the chorus, which certainly should be concerning. Even when Xal'atath opened a portal to the Void, it was sparkling with stars, very much reminding me of the characterization of Void that we see in Sarkareth's boss room. It's all this outer space stuff, and with the codification of Cosmic Void into its own more defined art style, as seen in the behind the scenes of patch 10.1, it seems like the Isles are truly kicking this into gear. Then patch 10.0.7 even gave us more Void hints, such as the biggest one, which is the return of Ashara. Essentially, when she left Ny'alotha, she said that she was done dealing with middlemen like N'Zoth, and went to find the true throne of power. So, whatever lies far above N'Zoth on the big voidy totem pole. Now, in 10.07, we see that the Naga have prophecies of their queen returning from beyond the Umbral Veil, which clearly means from Void itself. She probably then will have secured some form of spooky power. They also said that as one storm recedes, another will emerge. Perhaps the Incarnates are the storm. And does that mean Ashara at the head of Void may indeed be what we see next? Finally, we're getting item text-related lore developments, such as the Beacon to the Beyond, a pretty damn awesome piece of gear you can get in the new raid, and it reads very much bizarre Void things, saying that it changes the orbit of something known as Anshul, the Cosmic Wanderer. They are obviously then building Void in Dragonflight, so be on the lookout for it in patch 10.2, whenever we, as we do expect, hear about the Emerald Dream again. Another Void enigma involves the coins appearing in our adventure guide, specifically at the start of this expansion. The final one, a shadow-scrawled coin, confirmed Shadreen, the Void Ethereal, as the gift giver. We know this because the last shadow-scrawled object that we found came from Zanselish, who of course was one of her servants, and this was in Battle for Azeroth. Steve Denuser even confirmed the Ethereal's return in an interview. Numerous Void storylines then are gradually forming, and they all indicate one thing: the Void is coming, and many would expect in the next expansion. Okay, on to the big stuff, the deepest layer of the iceberg. Let's pause and pose a monumental question. Is everything, or much of what we've been told, in fact a bit of a lie? About the Titans, old gods, creation of the cosmos, and who the villains are? Is it a fabrication? Dragonflight certainly suggests that heavily, so it's time to dedicate a whole tier of our iceberg to that. Let's begin with the Prime Designate's edicts, the rule of law coming from Odin himself. This is the 742nd edition, which certainly does suggest he made quite a lot of rules in his day. These particular ones are concerned with mortals emerging in Azeroth. When we first appeared, instead of eliminating us, Odin chose to let us stay, thinking that one day we may prove useful. Considering us naive, he created a simplified version of history, a narrative explaining the Titans' arrival in Azeroth. This narrative is what has shaped our events ever since. Here are a few of Odin's laws. All mentions of advancements of the Black Empire were to be expunged from the records. Which advancements? We don't know. They were removed from the records. But we do speculate then that it involved the old gods, perhaps creating, you could even say, the first genuine life on the planet, maybe from the native elementals. I mean, trolls, how did they come about? Where did they come from? How exactly do we get proto-dragons from elements? It's got to happen somehow, right? Perhaps they were indeed the genuine advancements made by the Black Empire, and maybe by reframing us as being a product of the curse of flesh rather than the gift of flesh, and then by wiping out this genuine origin story for life on the planet. Well, maybe that is how the Titan-aligned forces get to write their own version of history, and make it so that mortals don't actually look to the deepest past and say, hang on a second, we came from elementals, and it was all the old gods doing. This, of course, could all tie back to our discussion about the Centaur and the Jaredine, as some of Azeroth's earliest life forms may be suggesting that yes, these old gods did transform elemental life into the first true life. Again, this is unconfirmed, but it's all big ground for speculation. Next, according to Odin, everything positive about the universe is because of the Titans, and we should ignore any mentions of the first ones. Perhaps Odin's narrative had some merits then, because, yeah, we didn't really like the first ones when we heard about them either. Of course, in this case, Odin thought that we shouldn't know about the first ones, that the deeper truths of the cosmos, with the likes of the Shadowlands existing, are not something that mortal minds can be trusted to know. However, Dragonflight's first mention of them indicates that this topic relates to Blizzard's deepest mysteries. Odin concludes by stating that life is chaos and must be controlled. It is no surprise then that Aenar, who of course is the member of the Titan pantheon dedicated to life, is known as the Life Binder. The Binder, the one to contain the chaos. It therefore is becoming increasingly clear that everything we knew about the Titans is in question. I think they did what they did. I think they meant well from their understanding of what well is, but maybe not all life wishes to be bound. Sadly, this is supported by another in-game source in our next mystery, the Old Gods and the Ordering of Azeroth. Warcraft 3's manual established the pillars of the setting's cosmos, encompassing the Emerald Dream, the Elemental Lords, and of course the Titan's arrival in Azeroth. We now have an annotated copy, essentially someone's margin notes speculating on the real truth. These were found in Neltharion's private collection, so it's very likely the notes are from him. This portrays the entire account as a string of Odin's deceptions. Of course, we know the story. The Titans discover Azeroth, it's infected with old gods, and they solve the problem. However, the annotations on this copy of this old book suggest that the old gods are only evil from the Titans' perspective, and the Black Empire was actually rather magnificent. It casts doubt on the war against the Black Empire, alleging that it was far dirtier than the whitewashed version that we were given. But here's the major revelation, when the text claims the Titans molded all land into one flawless continent, Kalimdor. It labels this as another deception, because there is in fact more to discover beyond the ocean waves. This then implies that there are indeed further lands beyond the veiled and forbidding seas. East of east, west of west, there lies yet more adventure. I'll get to that shortly, but to summarize all these deceptions and misleads, we have one source from Order, Odin, confirming its lies, and one source from Void, likely Neltharion, also verifying its falsehoods. And I think that does leave us rather in the middle, attempting to discern its truth. Because if everything Deathwing said about the Black Empire being actually quite lovely is true, then why is it that when we visit the temporal conflux and we attempt to save Chromie, we go to the Black Empire, and it actually does look quite horrible? So as much as I'm sure Odin was pulling a lot of wool over our eyes, it's not like the people saying that he's lying are completely clean either. Now we've reached the bottom tier of the iceberg and Dragonflight's deepest mysteries. So let's kick it off with Avalorn, a land mentioned in a wreckage report sent to Odin during his time as Prime Designate, seems to hold significant mysteries. The report suggests Odin's expeditions were turned back by formidable heretics who have committed crimes against Inara, who possibly is a new keeper that we've yet to discover. This implies that a powerful force inhabits the land of Avalorn. Other hints do suggest that Avalorn's existence, such as the Night Squall's treasure being located beyond the Western Sea, and of course Neltharion's book hinting at undiscovered lands beyond the waves. All these clues point then to Avalorn being an unexplored region at the other side of Azeroth. And as for what may be there, theories are abound. There could even be a fifth old god, untold treasures, entirely new civilizations, and potentially even a population of dwarves. The nature and identity of these heretics who defied the Keepers then remains a fascinating mystery. For whatever reason caused their heresy likely reflects on the truth behind Odin's lies. Now, have you ever heard of Kaz Algar? You hear that, and it sounds dwarven. And that is because it actually refers to a dwarven culture that seems to have developed far from the known lands of the dwarves. Not just far in terms of distance, but also far in terms of time. The observation report Earthen reveals a group of Earthen investigating a geological anomaly were somehow turned into fleshy beings, essentially dwarves. And remarkably, despite their geographical separation from known dwarf populations, they developed a strikingly similar culture, even naming places with the Kaz scheme, as we see in the likes of Kaz Modan. This leads to the theory that dwarves could be one of the primal races formed by the Titans, and that exposure to old god influences, such as the geological anomaly that these Kaz-Algar dwarves or Earthen were exposed to, that could cause them to maybe revert to their primal culture. This is extremely speculative, but nonetheless, it does suggest the presence of another dwarven stronghold somewhere on Azeroth, and one that is entirely disconnected from the dwarves that we know. And of course, it therefore is possible that this settlement may lie on the undiscovered land of Avalorn, wherever or whatever it may be. And next, here's the big one. Are Blizzard setting up a sixth Dragonflight? And the reason why this is at the bottom of the iceberg is that the evidence is circumstantial, but it absolutely is there. It feels intentional. Clues hinting toward this include the Mother Oathstone and the Evoker Crest, both of which have 6 points. And there being a spot beside where Alexstrasza stands on the seat of the aspects, which really could indicate the presence or room for another dragon. In addition, the number 6 seems to have significant recurrence in the game. Hints towards a possible violet proto-drake or a purple dragonflight have been found, including an in-game mural and descriptions of the reign of the violet proto-drake, which Alexstrasza has basically been wondering about. She's actually wondered, is there another dragonflight? Further fuel to this was added with the appearance of a 6th purple Ashkander in Aberrus. This theory then suggests that this could either be a void-related or hint at a future purple dragonflight. And one potential origin for this dragonflight could be Dralad, the deceased brother of Alexstrasza and Ysera. With upcoming time-based events, it is conceivable then that an aspect from the past could emerge. Furthermore, the aspects have generally not respected the elements. They haven't represented them, they haven't respected them, so the introduction of a more elemental dragonflight could also balance that out. However, this remains speculative and it does require further confirmation. It is just to say that there are actually hints in the game. Our final mystery today is whatever is going on with the Infinite Dragonflight. Eonormu, a bronze dragon in Thaldraszus, appears to be a precursor to Aeonis, an Infinite Dragonflight boss who is seen and fought at the very end of the Dark Portal dungeon from the Burning Crusade. So that we're seeing who we know is a future villain now as an ally sure does hint that that change is coming soon. We're also about to get an answer to how Nosdormu gets corrupted and turned into Morozond. Of course, it's hard to figure out why, though at least we're going to know for sure soon. The Infinite Dragonflight previously believed that a void-dominated end-time scenario was preferable to the other timelines that they saw. Given then the cryptic hints and warnings throughout Battle for Azeroth and Shadowlands, it appears Blizzard are indicating that the true nature of the cosmos maybe is not all that we've been led to believe, and that bad things do indeed reside in the horizon. Add to all of this the intentional misdirection from Odin over the years, and we really do get to the point where everything feels new and ready to explore. Bringing everything in this video together should make it obvious that Dragonflight is a launchpad for a whole new era of Warcraft's lore. So, there you have it. the Black Dragons, the Void, potential different potential futures, lies about the past. With this video, you have went through the iceberg of the primary conspiracy theories and hints and lore speculations of this expansion. So I'd love to know, how do you think things are going to go? And what do you think the next expansion is going to be? Will all this Void stuff really pay off so soon? Well, let me know down below. Until next time, I'll see you.